Today we are talking about French country interior design, but specifically we're going to be talking about decor items to kind of bring French country to life in your home. French country is something I've been seeing a lot recently, and I kind of wanted to dive into it more because I did a video on cottagecore, which is like perfect for spring and summer, but I wanted to explore more interior designs that you could bring into your home during summertime. So French country it is. According to Google, French country combines rustic comfort with refinement and elegance. Using soothing hues, soft patterns, and antique accents, the popular decorating aesthetic creates an inviting, polished, and lived-in look. So something that I read online is someone said this. They said, imagine that you live in a Paris apartment and you're collecting all these beautiful antiques, you're thrifting, you're getting like these cute little trinket dishes and these ornate frames, and then all of a sudden you move out of the city into the countryside and you bring all that stuff with you, and that is French country. So to put it in simpler terms, because I feel like this is much easier to comprehend, think of farmhouse but with more elegance. So instead of having an industrial light fixture, you're going to have a chandelier instead. So there's a very distinct difference, but you also get a lot of crossover between the two in terms of it being rustic and consisting of natural wood tones and aged furniture, and also sticking to like a countryside vibe. So let's talk about the color palette. The colors you will most likely see are creams, beiges, but you could even go with like a muted color palette, sage green, a dusty blue, warm yellows, and then in terms of accent colors, you could go with touches of gold. But of course, when it comes to like wood tones, you want to go with more natural looking wood tones. You don't want to go for a dark stain, you want to go for a light stain, or even white furniture that has like an aged look to it. So you could either do this yourself or you can buy stuff that's already aged. As for patterns, you can look for gingham print, stripes, plaid, florals, toile, and you can even look for an olive tree print. So the main thing with this interior design is you really want to bring in those French inspired pieces of furniture, because that will really be a distinct difference between farmhouse and French country, because farmhouse is obviously more Americanized. French countries, we're going for France here. Finding like historical French antiques might be pretty pricey. So you could just go to the thrift store and find items that are vintage, that have some ornate detailing, that look like this, or this, and bring those into your home, because it could still pass for something French related, even though it is not an actual French antique and it didn't cost you thousands of dollars. So now that you know a little bit about French country and you've seen some photos to kind of give you an idea of what this is, let's talk about the decor items. So the first item on this list is an ornate mirror. And specifically, I would look for one that is gold. You can DIY this. I've done this myself. I've showed it in past videos. But of course, if you don't want to DIY one, check out Facebook Marketplace, check out your local thrift store, check out estate sales, see if you can find one for a good price, and bring that into your home, because having the farmhouse look and then having like an ornate mirror that's in gold is just such a differentiating item that you can have to really have a touch of elegance without it just being like farmhouse, you know what I'm saying? The next idea is a bistro table set. Specifically, the one I was thinking of was the one that's in white, or you could even get one that is wrought iron. I think both would work really, really well, and the reason I put this on the list is because you don't have to have just an outside area for this. This could be something that's featured in your dining room, and it's super cute, it's so unique, and it looks beautiful. And the next idea, which is this is like a key element in this interior design, is chandeliers, but more specifically, chandeliers as pendant lights. This is one of my favorite things I've ever seen. I love how it works in this interior design, bringing in those natural earthy elements while having something so high class mixed in. Something that you will always see in France is like these beautiful French gardens. I'm not saying it's the only country that has like really beautiful, elegant gardens attached to their homes, but I don't know. You always see like these very clean, elegant gardens that they're not like overgrown or anything like that. They're normally cut into like specific shapes, and those would be topiary plants. So I thought that adding topiary plants to a home not only gives you like a symmetrical vibe as well, which in my head, symmetry, it looks more elegant as opposed to doing the rule of thirds. So having topiary plants, it gives you a sense of structure in your home, and it also gives you that French garden feel. The next one is a wine rack, just because I can imagine just, you know, drinking wine in your home, a French country home. I would look for one in a wood tone or even a wrought iron. The next one is easy, and that is just to get some wicker baskets. You can put these on your fridge for storage. You can put these on a shelf for storage. And in my personal opinion, if you are going to have some sort of open storage, do it in a way that makes sense, that it looks appealing to your eye. I'm just like a really big fan of things looking aesthetically pleasing, as opposed to just getting a plastic Tupperware, you know, to hold my things. Get a wicker basket or a rattan basket, you know. The next decor idea is a folding room divider, and especially if you don't have a lot of light in your space, having a mirrored room divider is perfect. So here are a few options that I found, and I just think that these would work really well with this interior design. The next idea is putting shutters around your windows on the inside of your home. So this is something that you would see on the outside of the home, but don't think just because you see photos of it on the outside of the home doesn't mean it can't be done on the inside too. It totally can. You can also go with a creative color for this too, just like what you would see on the outside of the home, because this interior design does consist of a lot of creams and beiges, and it could get a little boring and stale. So just bringing in like one pop of color might be really nice. The next one is a wood riser. There might be like a more specific name for this. I'm just gonna call it that. This is something that I was seeing in all of the kitchen photos. This doesn't have to just be used in a kitchen, but I was seeing it in a lot of kitchen photos, so I added it to the list. You quite literally just use this to display items. It's almost like a way of just curating things that would randomly sit on your table and putting them in one specific area so it doesn't look as cluttered and it looks more put together and clean. And also it brings in those natural wood tones, maybe into an area where you don't really have a lot of natural wood tones. It could be in the kitchen on a granite countertop or a marble countertop, and then you want wood tones, so then you bring in, you know, wood riser, and now you have some wood. Yeah, and since we're like on the topic of things in a kitchen, a wood bowl would be really appropriate for this too. Just to, again, bring in those wood tones in different areas of your home where you might not have that natural wood. The next idea would be a terracotta vase or pots or aged vessels. I'm just giving you some options here, but here is what they all look like. The next idea is a cake tray. I like this because first of all, you could get one all in glass, but I've also seen ones, and I had one myself for a while. So you could get ones that have a wooden base. Again, another opportunity to bring in more wood tones while also having something that is usable that you can display. The next idea is a wrought iron candle holder. And I'm going to say, be very careful with putting too much of this material in your home, because it could get a little more farmhouse than you want it to be, because in my eyes, it's more of a material that you would see in a farmhouse home. The next idea is ornate wall sconces. I feel like this is in every video I do, just because it's such a staple decor item. Ornate wall sconces are just a beautiful piece to display, but it also brings in some really great lighting with candle tapers or LED candle tapers, which is what I use, and it fits really well with this vibe. And the next one is decorative candlesticks, and I feel like you could get a little creative with this in the ones that you choose. You could mix and match. And that leads me to the next one, which is a candelabra. Something very, very, very specific that I found that I thought would work well in this was horse bookends. I don't know, I just thought that these were really cute and fit with the farmhouse vibe while still looking elegant. They kind of remind me of old money a bit, which I feel like would work. I don't know, let me know what you think about this one, but yeah, this was a very specific item. The next thing on this list are Louis XVI chairs. As I mentioned before, you will want to look for some French-inspired furniture, and every time you look up French country, you will see these in the home. It's the perfect addition. It's simple, elegant, and just in general, a really beautiful chair to have. Another idea is by getting cutting boards to display. And I mean, obviously you can use them as well, which is nice, but specifically if you're going to get them, leave them on display and use them as a decor item too. The next idea is by getting linen drapes. I say linen just because it's the more common textile you will see in French country, but there are obviously other options, like in the patterns I had mentioned before, like gingham, stripes, florals, and toile. The next idea is pretty simple, and that's just a tablecloth and any of the patterns that I mentioned before, and just throwing a tablecloth kind of gives that appearance of a farmhouse, but you gotta make it the right texture and pattern to make it work within this interior design. The next idea is linen hand towels, and they could have little stripes through them, but you could also go with the previously mentioned patterns as well. The next idea is copper pots and pans that you can also display. This also reminds me a bit of cottagecore a little bit because it's kind of mixed in with farmhouse too. But yeah, usable items that you can use as decor. The next idea is just by getting some vintage plates to incorporate into your home, and look for something that isn't too bright in color. Try to go for something that's more muted tones and maybe not overly floral. I'd say the best pattern for the vintage plates would have to be toile. The next idea would be a white vintage bird cage. I don't know if you've seen these before, you probably have, but they'd be really great in a garden, but also if you like bringing plants indoors, it would be a really cute way to display your plants inside of it or even hang them from the ceiling. The next idea would be a curtain skirt, and you could display these in many different areas in your home. I personally like them the best around a sink in a bathroom or in the kitchen. The next idea is a burlap sack pillowcase, and I don't know if it's a burlap sack. Every time I see them, it feels reminiscent of a burlap sack with printed writing on it. So that's why I'm calling it that. But it's these pillows. So you get the idea, right? You get it. Okay, these. The next idea is artwork, and obviously this is an easy one. You can thrift artwork, but you can also buy some prints, and then you can put them into some frames, which I will be talking about next. But in regards to artwork, I would say look for landscapes and look for even horses. I think the horses vibe works well. My personal opinion, I don't know. And since you'll need some frames, look for some ornate gold frames. You can do wood too, but I'm really gonna stick to just saying, look for the gold accents. Just try bringing in those gold accents, because when I've looked at photos of this, that is really the distinguishing factor between making it farmhouse and making it French country. So look for those gold accented items. And again, an ornate gold frame is something you can easily DIY. The next decor idea is by getting some natural wood toned chairs. And even if the chair is a bit darker, you can easily fix this by just sanding it down and maybe staining it with a walnut or whatever you're looking for, or even painting it and DIYing it. It's super simple. And the aged furniture works so well in French country that you can easily DIY it and it works. The next idea is to get some wicker lampshades or rattan lampshades. It's so interesting that in this interior design, you can mix in so many different elements and it ends up working and it ends up looking very unique. So these were two materials of lampshades I was consistently seeing. The next one is relatively simple, and this is something you will easily find, and that's just a decanter for serving guests alcohol or serving yourself water or whatever you drink. It's just a nice way to display things and make your space look more aesthetic. And of course, you can't forget about a sculpture or a bust. You can't forget about it. And I was on the fence about even putting this in here, but I feel like a sculpture or a bust might be something that you would thrift and put into a French apartment that you could bring to the French countryside. And I think it works. The next idea is just a big standing mirror in either gold with an ornate frame, or you could go for something a little more farmhouse in my opinion, which would be a window mirror. And it looks like a window. It looks like a window. It has like the framing of a window, except it's a mirror on the other side. And the cool thing about this is you can actually DIY one of these, but I think the distinguishing factor between doing this the right way and the wrong way would be giving it a rounded shape at the top. You want to have like a rounded shape. You don't want it to just be perfectly square. I think giving it a rounded shape makes it feel more elegant. Since we're on the topic of mirrors, I also wanted to throw out a cheval. Ideally, it would be really cool to find one that was gold with ornate detailing, but you could also do a wood toned one and a lighter wood stain, And you could also look for a wrought iron one in either white, or you could even spray paint it gold if you want it to feel a little different. But I think this is a really unique item, and also it just looks really cool in people's homes. I never see them in people's homes. Why? I don't know. Maybe they're really hard to find, but I thought this was a really good decor idea. This is the last mirrored item, I swear, and that's a mirror tray. So you could look for this with an ornate frame around it. It could be white with gold. This is what I was thinking of specifically, but if you could find other trays that kind of fit into this theme, then get that. The next idea is a bed bench. You could either put this at the end of your bed. It's meant for when you're like getting dressed, or you could even put it at the front door for when you're putting on shoes, or you could even get one that has some storage in it if you want it to be more multi-purpose, even though technically if you're using it to put on shoes, it does have a purpose. You know what I mean. Look for something that has a lighter wood tone, some carved details to it, and a lighter cushion color to kind of blend in with this theme a bit more. The next one would be carved wood wall decor. I'm specifically thinking of these things. This like wood embellishment that you can buy or find, and putting it over places like a door or a fireplace mantle could just bring in some interesting elements into the home that could look a bit more elegant, but also being a wood tone to bring in that rustic feeling too. And the next idea is a tote bag. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Why? Why is this on the list? Look. Everyone knows the French girlies love reading their books. They go to the bookstore, they have their little Shakespeare and Company tote bag. No, is it just me? Maybe. I feel like every time I'm in Paris, everyone has a tote because it's a city. You know, it's just easy to have a tote. You can get groceries in it, you can get books in it, you can get whatever. And having a tote brings in those natural elements because normally they're made of canvas material. But if you want a more upgraded tote, would be a wicker tote bag. And it could be like a big one, you know? And the cute thing about this is that you could display it on pegs at your front door, and it just looks aesthetic. And the last idea on this list, and I feel like this has to be there, and I haven't seen this at all in any photos, but I think it's lacking. I think you need some books. You either need some like photography books on your table, like a coffee table book, or you need a little small bookshelf area with some books. And I just feel like books needed to be on this list. Because what do you do when you're in the countryside all day? Like, yeah, you do, maybe you're gardening and yeah, but don't you read while drinking wine at night? I don't know, I just feel like you would. I hope you guys liked these different decor ideas. If you have any more that you came up with while watching this video, feel free to comment them below. Also, is this an interior design that you have been interested in? Maybe I'm the only one that keeps saying this, I don't know. Also, are there any other summer related interiors that you have been looking at lately? I would love to know what they are. Maybe I'll do a video about it. All right, it's time for me to go. My time here is done. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.